Hello and welcome to Living Proof, the Isaac Newton Institute podcast. My name is Dan Aspel. In this episode, I'll be speaking to Aleks Mijatovic and Codina Cotar of the Stochastic Systems for Anomalous Diffusion program. They'll be speaking about the theme and challenges of their highly interdisciplinary 6-month research project, but our conversation starts with comments on some truly remarkable headwear. We hope you enjoy the episode. So welcome to Living Proof. I have two guests with me today, and if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves and your home institution, we'll start on my left.
Okay, hi, my name is Aleks Mijatovic. I'm a professor of probability at the University of Warwick.
And on my right?
So I'm Codina Cotar. I'm a professor of probability at University College London.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for joining me. As I mentioned in the introduction, we're speaking about the programme Stochastic Systems for Anomalous Diffusion, which is ongoing at the Newton Institute. It's a 6-month programme. I think how many are we? Just over 2 months in?
3 months.
3 months in,
yeah.
Okay. And before we get into the details of the programme, there's something I have to ask you, Codina, which is you're wearing a wonderful hat. And I've been told that there's an interesting story behind your hats. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, that'd be great.
So I like hats. So I design the hats, and I choose the design. I choose the materials, and they are made for me in Bucharest at a milliner there. So some of the hats go through many stages because I have some of them are quite flamboyant. So I have, for example, a pirate ship hat. I have a tentacles hat. I have a hat made of butterflies. I even have a really giant butterfly hat, which moves when I move, and it moves like a proper butterfly. Yeah, so I started designing the hats 27 years ago. So that's when in Bucharest it's very hot in summer, and we obviously wear hats to protect ourselves. And at some point during my university degree, I thought all these hats look alike. And it would be nice if they looked a bit different. It's just same hat in a different color. So that's how it started. It started timidly, so the first hats were not so flamboyant. But then as time went by, I got more courage, and the hats became more and more diverse. So I experiment with fabrics, with texture, with sometimes some of them have an architectural theme, so there's different themes that my hats go through. So yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. I will at the end of our conversation I will take a photo, if that's all right, which will accompany the podcast, so those listening will be able to see. Today's hat is it's quite broad, it's upturned.
Yeah, it's an autumnal hat. Yeah,
okay.
It's a sort of autumn hat.
Yeah, and it's a bright sort of golden, almost bronze sort of colour to it as well. Yeah, fascinating. Well, thank you for sharing, because as with all other professionals, mathematicians tend to have hobbies in their spare time. I've been lucky enough to interview a variety of people here at the Newton Institute, some of whom make jewellery, for example, on mathematical themes. So it's lovely for you to be able to tell us about that. But that wonderful diversion aside, let's talk about your programme. So we're 3 months in. Could you tell me about the theme of the programme? Because it's as a non-mathematician, it's not one that immediately leaps out to me as something I can grasp hold of. So tell me about the theme of the programme.
So this program, much like many other programs at Newton Institute, they have a theme, and the theme here is anomalous diffusion. And the idea is to connect people working in disparate areas of mathematics where such phenomena are observed. So anomalous diffusive behavior essentially means that if you look at a random particle at some time in the future, then there is, I wouldn't say an expectation, but many canonical models will have a certain type of behavior. And anomalous diffusive behavior is not of that type, okay? So it just means that the particle is further than square root of t, where t is the time at which you look at the particle away from where it started at time 0. Okay, so the idea behind this program really grew out of several of the organizers' sort of research interest in slightly different things that sort of exhibited this type of behavior. So, for example, I mean, I'm the organizer, I think the list of organizers, 6 people or something like this, working in different areas of probability and mathematics in general. So my own background and sort of way into the topic of anomalous diffusion came through reflected diffusions. Okay, so this was a phenomenon that hadn't been observed in this area of probability, of this type of modeling. And when we first sort of started thinking about that with Andrew Wade, who is another organizer, unfortunately couldn't be here today, we realized that sort of you see that in a model that you're studying, and then you start looking at, has this kind of behavior appeared anywhere else? And indeed, it turned out it appears in very, very many places, many things that are linked to physics. And then we contacted people, and sort of this was the nucleus of the thing. And so Codina came aboard quite quickly. I don't know, you can maybe say a few things about.
Yes, so Andrew contacted me because I work in another type of application of anomalous diffusion. So this is self-interacting processes. So this is processes which interact with each other in various forms. So, for example, there's something called reinforced random walk. This is so the more you walk on a path. So if you go in a city, the more you go on some streets, the more likely you are to traverse them in the future. Or the more you go to, I like cakes. The more I go to a cake place, if I like it, the more I'm going to return to it. Or if I don't like it, I will avoid it. So there's various types of this reinforcement. Either you do the activity more, or you penalize it by doing it less. And this has been observed in life. So, for example, in biology, ants leave pheromones on the path they cross, and the more a path is crossed, the more other ants will cross that path.
Yeah. It strikes me that there's a wealth of interest there in the biological spheres. That leaps to mind immediately. You must have a lot of interest from other scientists in the sort of applications of this research.
So there are interactions with biology, with physics. So self-interacting processes appear also in physics quite a lot. So there's connections to mathematical physics, to statistical mechanics, and we also have one of the workshops is with I think the workshop this week will have a physicist is a workshop for physicists working in related topics.
Wow.
And so the Newton Institute is really perfect for this kind of thing, because it's very, very difficult to gather people from such disparate disciplines in one place and give them enough time to familiarize themselves with each other's work to a degree where new ideas can be somehow born and developed. And so this has worked extremely well so far, and I expect that the program, I mean, I'm very happy. I think everybody I speak to is very happy about what they've come here to do and what they've gone away with in terms of sort of future research projects, etc. So,
yeah, that's interesting to hear, because the last podcast interview, I believe when this is published, it will be the previous episode, was with the Twister theory organisers who were here concurrently with you. However, their programme was only a month long. And actually one of the points they picked up on was that they were left wishing that it were longer, because they realised how much potential there was there. And with 6 months, you have that space to breathe. Does it feel like a good length? I mean, would you like it to be longer even? I don't know. You've got plenty of time to collaborate in that period, I hope.
I think our program is broad, and there's many people coming in and out, spending different amounts of time, depending on what they can do, how long they can stay. So far, I personally am extremely happy with, the flux of ideas that this has produced. I'm very happy that the program is 6 months long. Whether it should be a month longer or a month shorter, I don't know. I mean, I think that 6 months works well, and for a theme such as this one, I think it's a very good length. When would you agree?
I agree also. There's a lot of the people who have come, they've started collaborations. Everybody's quite happy with how things are going. Yeah, so there's been lots of new collaborations. Yeah, lots of existing projects are also advancing, and lots of. There's quite a few people who told me that they started collaborations just by talking to other participants. Yes. So they came to. They said they wanted to thank the organizers because they wouldn't have been able to start this collaboration if they hadn't come here.
Yeah.
They didn't. Some of them didn't realize that the works were connected until they came here together and started discussing.
Yeah, well, the system is working. Then. That's good. Yeah.
Yes.
And Aleks, when we last spoke, it was in April, and that was relating to a satellite program down at the Turing Institute. So we spoke about the challenges of organising a satellite program at that point. How does life work for you being here at the Newton Institute?
I think organising program here is much easier simply because all the infrastructure is in place. The people are very helpful. The Newton Institute staff know how everything works, and all one needs to do typically is write an email, and usually a short email at that, and then things just happen, wouldn't you? I mean, that's exactly my experience.
It's wonderful. So I've organised workshops before, and so summer school also before, and I've never been so relaxed in my life, because before I always have to be on top of everything that's going on, and I know I have to. I'm the one who has to make sure this is working, these technical aspects are okay, everything. Whereas now, again, there's all these wonderful people who are helping us, and I organized the first workshop in the program in July, and for the first time since I'm organizing workshops, I could actually listen to the talks without being stressed throughout. Yes. Normally, I'm always stressed. Oh, I have to do this, or I have to send these emails, I have to make sure that, what if something breaks down? I didn't have to do any of that. I just sat and I listened to the talks. It was wonderful. It's just wonderful. It's a great experience. Yes, as organizers, they make things very simple for us here.
Yes, it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, and we mentioned a little bit earlier about how the workshop this week is aimed at physicists. The workshops, typically these 6-month programs have sort of 4 or more workshops within them, which are week-long meetings where people from outside the program come in. You can have more than 100 people coming here to collaborate. A lot of talks, quite an intense week. Can you tell me about the other workshops in the program? Are others aimed at different groups, or are they more general?
Yes, I mean they have a core, right? So Codina mentioned the first workshop in the program that was of the type that you described was on self-interaction, and the second one was on reflection, which I was involved in, and there was definitely an intersection of participants in both, but there were also different people coming, and I think that is beneficial. You want to have. This is the big workshops that we've had so far. The next one is I believe, when is it? End of October. And then the final one will be first half of December or something like that, right? So you want to have some core that's sort of carrying through, connecting the things. But also what interestingly happened was that, for example, there were some experts on reflected processes that attended the first workshop instead of attending the workshop when they're actually an experts in, because their stay in Cambridge coincided with that. And after talking to people like that, I realized that they actually benefited perhaps even more from attending something that is slightly orthogonal or not exactly in their field. So I think, again, the structure of the program is very good. Somehow, in my view, the point, you want to generate ideas, and you want to generate good ideas, and as many of those as you can. And it's not a good idea to be too prescriptive about how you're going to go about this task. And I think the freedom this place affords us is great, and it's somehow fertile ground for such things to happen.
I totally agree with you. Actually, some of them experts for the workshop in December, for the Monte Carlo workshop, they were here in August, and they came to your work, to the reflection workshop, and they told me after, we didn't realize they are connected. This research is connected to what we do. They're very excited.
Yes.
So they're very happy. Oh wow, we didn't realize this. They do things connected to us.
Yes.
It's
There's a world of connections.
Yeah,
to be made,
there are differences, but there are also connections. Lots of connections.
Yes, but the barriers are difficult to somehow overcome in general, just in the world, because there's so much stuff going on in the scientific activities. Really, I mean, everything's bubbling. So you tend to focus on the stuff that you know and that you're interested in. There's not so much time for other ideas to penetrate into one sort of vision, right? Yes. But such a program really makes this possible, right? Because you're here, also practicalities are all taken care of. So it really is quite a special experience, I think, for everyone. For everyone, it's really a privilege to be here.
Yeah.
So, and people have said this. I mean, people at all career stages. So.
That's and it's worth highlighting again, isn't it, that it is across all career stages. You have everyone from very senior academics down to early career researchers. So, speaking of the focusing on your own research and these kinds of themes, at the risk of stating the obvious, like I'm never not amazed at how broad mathematics is. Like the number of different specialisms and subjects is quite overwhelming, in all honesty. I'd love to hear from each of you about how you came to be focused on this particular kind of mathematics, on anomalous diffusion, assuming that it is your main specialism. What attracted you to it and that kind of research?
So for me, what triggers my interest, it's often sort of serendipitous. Okay, so anomalous diffusions were exactly like that, because this was something that came out of a study. We were not looking for it. It just happened to happen that the model that we were investigating had this kind of behavior. And through that, we went into anomalous diffusion. And anomalous diffusion itself, it's not, I would say, I don't know whether Codina agrees, it's not a field of mathematics that you can somehow say, oh, I'm doing this, right? It's a type of phenomenon that's been observed in physical and biological systems. And then it also is observed in some stochastic models, right? So it is this somehow connection that we wanted to study. And for me, the interest in anomalous diffusion precisely came through these specific reflected diffusion models that we studied. And but I think now, having lived through much of the program, okay, half's done, another half's to go, and sort of having explored or seeing connections with physics and also simulation and things like this, and very interesting things to come. I think that this will certainly inform my sort of next serendipitous direction that I will sort of take in terms of research. I don't know. What do you think?
So for me, I have a background in mathematics and physics, so straight from high school. So in Romania, where I did my degree, so there you specialize very early. So I went to high school doing mathematics and physics. So then I did a lot of mathematics and physics at university. So for me, the interest came from the physics applications. So I basically find physical problems that I like, and then I try to find tools to solve them. So there's a self-interacting processes which I work on. They have a wealth of connections to physics. And this is how my interest was started. There's another problem that I work on, for example, many electron Schrödinger equation. And for that, I learned optimal transport to try and solve it. So for me, the interest comes from physics primarily. And so I get fascinated by some of these problems. And then I want to find tools to help me say something more about them, to try and understand the phenomena involved and explain it.
Yeah, that's a lovely description of building up this toolkit with each of these experiences, year by year, I guess, as your research grows. Yeah, fascinating. Another question, which is a simple question, maybe it's a silly question, you can tell me. When you come to these sort of research programs, do you ever feel as though by the end of it, whatever you were hoping to address is solved? Or do you generally end up with more questions, more avenues of research?
I mean, I think there's always more questions. I mean, maybe you solved the original question, but that opens new avenues of research, new things you want to solve to advance the problem even more. This is how it keeps evolving. There's things I've solved, and then I want to know the next step. I want to understand more the phenomena involved. There's always more.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think it's a silly question at all. It's a very good question, in fact. And for me, it's hard to imagine a situation where things are done, right? So there's always a problem that one is working on, and then I think in a place like here, there's so much interaction. I learn from almost every conversation that I have with a participant, particularly with people who are studying things that are related to what I study in some way, but they have a different way of looking at it. So I understand what kind of questions they ask, and then I try to ask these questions about the stuff that I know about. And in that sense, there's always new problems coming along. And in fact, the thing to do, in my view, as a researcher, is really to listen to the problem, right? The problem takes you. It's very, in my experience, it's always been very bad when I sort of try to set my problem a priori and then try to solve it. I don't really know what the problem is. I mean, that maybe doesn't sound very good, but it is nevertheless the case, right? So you learn as you go along, and then as you explore, you see what questions make sense. And this process is definitely accelerated by talking to experts in neighboring or even very different areas that care about sort of similar type of objects.
Yes, thank you very much. So I guess one of possibly my last question that I was going to ask you was that the appeal, so I've heard from lots of different organisers over the past few years, of an I&I programme is there are multiple aspects in which it's appealing. So firstly, you have that opportunity to pursue research that you're already fascinated by. Secondly, you are freed from your sort of traditional academic obligations during that period. So you're not necessarily doing any teaching, or if you are, it's been reduced because you're taking this period to be away from work. And I guess also there's the, if you don't happen to live here already, there's the interest of being in Cambridge for that length of time, which Cambridge is a particularly nice city, I think, but it would be true anywhere new that you're going to be for a period. So you have those sort of different aspects of what makes this 1, 3, 6 month experience at I&I enjoyable. For you both, what have you enjoyed the most so far, and what are you most looking forward to within this programme?
For me, scientifically, it's been a great experience. So I've enjoyed, I mean, I knew always that, talking to people, to new people about maths will be rewarding and interesting. But I didn't quite appreciate, the wealth. So new sort of worlds open up by doing this. Okay, so that's one sort of scientific side of things. Practically, I mean, I lived in Cambridge as a student, and for me, one of the most fun experiences were to have my son come and stay with me for a week or two during the program in the summer, and so he enjoys punting, so we were punting quite a lot, right? So doing fun things with family, I think. And I think that I'm not unique in this. I think many participants that bring their families really enjoy that aspect of being in Cambridge. Cambridge is a wonderful place, particularly in the summer, and so families enjoy staying, and that's part of the reason why having the institute here is good, because it sort of makes it easy to attract very senior people it would be very hard to get from Canada or something like that, from the West Coast in the US or China or something, to come and spend time here. People eagerly come, right, and they're all very happy to be here.
Yeah, it's definitely worth highlighting that. Thank you. Yeah, and how about yourself, Codina?
Scientifically, it's been wonderful. So I've advanced projects. I've started new projects. I got new ideas, and there's so many ideas that I don't know when there's going to be time to explore them all. I've interacted with lots of people and found out about lots of really, really amazing, exciting research. Now, personally, so I have been in Cambridge once before, but for a short period of time, and I now got the chance to explore a bit. It's a very nice city, so I did a lot of sightseeing, all the things that people visiting do. So I went to King's College, I went to the museum, I went around. So I went to the surrounding areas. I went up to the cathedral in Ely.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I did. I went punting. I was really bad at it. I didn't realize. I mean, when you watch people punt, you think, this is so easy. But then when I started, my arms were hurting. So I went with my husband, and it takes a lot.
Directions
of
are reversed, aren't they? It's slightly confusing at first.
It was a lot of hard work, and I bumped into a lot of other punts.
And as a physicist,
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it should come naturally.
Thinking about it comes naturally, but not doing it.
Yes, you need to make it.
That's right.
Well, thank you both for sharing those thoughts. And yes, a final question: had either of you attended as a participant here in the Newton Institute before you became organisers?
I have attended programs before, but actually I was also on the scientific steering committee of the Newton Institute a while ago now, and also I organized the program you mentioned briefly earlier, which was satellite program this April.
Yeah, so I mean,
so I had interactions with. I knew how the institute worked.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, because I think pleasure or the use, perhaps, for a lot of listeners to this podcast, hearing about your experience of organising it, which has been a very positive one by the sounds of it, is to find out how easy it is, really. So if you wish to propose a programme here, you can go on the website, you can see the instructions on how to do that. You can go ahead and put that forward anytime you want. And indeed, the Newton Institute is very excited to hear from you and is very eager for as many submissions as possible for future programmes. So I hope anyone listening to this has got the impression that it's a positive experience, and now knows how easy it is to actually submit their own proposal. So what does the rest of the day hold for you both?
I'll try to do some research. I have to... admin follows me around, unfortunately. I mean, you're right about things not being... I mean, we're not at our home institutions, but these days things have a way of finding you. So I'll do that for a bit. And just advance some projects, have some conversations with other participants.
Yes, so I'm going to work on a paper which I actually started at the previous program that I attended. So 6 years ago, I attended a program on quantum field theory, and I started some projects there with some participants, and some papers were done, and more papers are done. And I think I did some of my best research, starting from the interactions at the program that I attended as participant 6 years ago.
And it's carried you through to
yes,
to today.
It's very exciting. So I'm working on that. I've got some new projects started now, which I'm also going to work on, and then I'm going to talk to some of the other participants. Yeah, so this is the rest of the day for me.
Yes, and thank you for answering both of my questions at once, because I'm sorry I forgot to go to you with the question about your previous experience here. So it's been great to speak to both of you. Thank you very much for your time, and yes, I hope the workshop goes well, which presumably is happening mostly tomorrow onwards.
No, so this is just a one-day workshop.
Okay.
So this is on Friday.
Right.
There will be a full-day workshop on Friday.
Okay.
This is in addition to the 4 big workshops.
Yes.
That we have.
Okay.
So we have actually 2 such workshops in this program, 2 additional workshops.
Yeah, so we had 6, 4 big workshops, and then we have 2 smaller workshops. One was 3 days, and the other one is 1 day.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a bad thing for your listeners to know. People are thinking about applying, is that you can get additional funding from outside to organize additional. And Newton Institute is actually also quite helpful with this. So the application, I think, covers the 4 big workshops.
Yeah.
But the additional things you need to somehow provide some external contributions also. But it all works out quite well.
We're also having an online art contest connected to the...
Oh, right. This is another thing that you should really maybe mention.
Yes,
I think that's very exciting.
We have an online art contest which is going to go live very soon, connected to the topic of anomalous diffusion. So art of every sculpture, painting, photography, video, and everything. So we have a few categories, and we have some really big prizes. We applied for the money with Heilbronn,
right.
and they gave us money to organize this online art contest. So it's going to go live, and we have the judges who are going to judge the entries independently, and there will be an exhibition also at the end with the winning entries and with the finalists.
Well, I will absolutely include the link to that in the show description of the podcast.
Yes,
so
please
do click there, which you should be able to see right now. Great. Well, that's very exciting. I look forward to seeing the entries and the finalists for that. Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time, both of you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.